Peace, everybody.
Hey,
Episode 170 of the Carry and the Culture Show. It's your boy Tamal, like Jamal, but with a T. I'm super excited about this one. As always, Peace, Connecticut. I rep it hard. We're super excited to have dope visual artist, muralist, designer. Yo, you do everything. Creator of all things dope. We got our man Jahmane from Kultjah holding it down,
peace,
Norwalk, Connecticut, in the building.
peace,
Thanks for
peace.
joining us, man. Really excited to do this one.
Thanks for having me. As always, I always follow what you do, and I appreciate having the chance to be on your platform.
No, I appreciate you, man, and we're gonna definitely get into it. Always excited to talk to brothers from CT doing it, making moves
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to our official show sponsor, Diggable Tees, up in the corner right here. They make some of the illest hip hop T-shirts on the planet, so make sure you rock with them. Our official show sponsor. But so we're gonna jump around. We're gonna talk Connecticut. We're gonna talk art, hip hop, and fashion and stuff like that. Got a lot to cover, man. So
All of the above.
yeah. So at first, let's check this. I want to get into this Connecticut connection. So we're actually kind of connected now through marriage. So
Family. Now we really family.
it's crazy, right, right, right. So my uh, son-in-law is man.
Yeah, yeah. Which is my
You say great?
cousin's son.
Yeah, your cousin's son. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was wild because my daughter was like, "Who's that brand you rock with on online culture or something like that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "That's Jimmy's cousin." And I'm
Hmm.
like, "What?" Like
Yeah,
he's like, "Yeah, he's always got it on or whatever." I'm like, "Oh wow." So
yeah. Man, be repping. Be repping.
yes, so we chopped it up and stuff like that. So he's a good brother. So
Hmm.
so so I'm like, dang, this is crazy. And you and I had already kind of like connected through online before that, but
Hmm.
I was like, this is small world. So
Yeah.
then I started piecing it together, and so like you're from Norwalk,
Hmm.
I went to Southern, so I met you probably know a couple of people. So I met I used to hang out with this kid, and a kid Ron Stew. You know Ron Stewart?
Yeah, Ron. Yeah, Ron is now he's big time.
He's
He's
at Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers. Yeah. Ron is people, same town, same high school at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was hanging with Ron, this kid Rel, Terrell, and a couple other dudes from Norwalk, and it
Hmm.
was funny. Like I would, I didn't see. We'll get into culture, but I didn't see the brand until I was in New Haven. I started seeing cats rocking it, and I'm like, oh, what's
Hmm.
this? You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
but then I also saw on your page, you did a show. You've done some work with my man Dulio,
Oh yeah,
who's
that's once again that's
that's
fam.
family.
We go
That's what I'm saying. Like,
way back.
yeah, Dulio's my man, man. You know what I'm saying? Like going way back. Um, and so again, it's small world, man. And so I'm glad we finally got to like build it in,
Chop it
in
up.
person, if you will, and chop it
Definitely.
up. But I want to know like what's your experience? I mean, like share because here's the thing: if you've traveled and stuff, like CT obviously has like the Tony Danza Fairfield rep everywhere you go, right? And you got to
Yeah.
explain to people it's like it's like that, but not
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So like what? I mean, this take us through, man, because for me, like you know, Connecticut's a unique place, man. I mean,
Mm.
it's got a New York, Boston influence and stuff like that, but
Hmm.
it's got the rich stuff, it's got the
Yeah.
super hood.
Yeah.
So like, just take me through like little Jermaine
Uh-huh.
growing up in Norwalk. What was your
Uh,
experience like?
I mean, well, like you said, I mean, growing up in Norwalk, we were right in the pocket. We really like the northern Bronx. You know what I'm saying? And we've always, at least where I'm from, like Norwalk, Stanford, up to Bridgeport. New Haven, is there too, but just right in this little Fairfield County, lower, Fairfield County, it's always been like we right in the city, and even as young as I can remember, I was going back and forth to the city
Right.
and picking up on hip hop culture as it was developing. You know what I'm saying? We had a spot out here called On Wheels, which was a skating rink. So Run DMC came out there before they even really dropped. African Bambaataa. I mean, it was mad people coming through because if you're in the Bronx, you want to do that run. So people would get out of state and come up here and get some action up here. So we were there experiencing that, and then at the same time we would go to the Bronx, go to the city, go to Brooklyn, and it was all intertwined. And then as graffiti, all the hip hop culture, graffiti. breaking. We was breaking at the same time. Everything as it was developing, we were getting a piece of it. So
Right.
like you're saying, when people say Connecticut or you think Connecticut, even though it's a tri-state, it's New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. People always say, New York and New Jersey, for whatever reason. Like I said, even now, there's like, I think on the internet, there's people talking about how come certain artists or people never come out of Connecticut, whatever. I mean, it's a lot of that could be debated, but people that I know, you make moves regardless. You know what I'm saying? I never saw myself as quote unquote just being confined or defined by being from Connecticut. Because if you fly, you up on something, you up on something. So that's why it was always like as soon as we could, we started traveling. We started making them runs to DC, to Philly, going to Greek Fest, going to Penn Relays, going to like I said, DC for all types of festivals. Once we started doing street festivals, selling the gear and stuff, it was wide open. Going to VA, going for all types of stuff. So being from Connecticut for me was just a nice place to chill, and then go about what I need to do anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So,
right.
but back to even just the evolution of myself. Like I said, it started with hip hop. Seeing stuff come out of the city and grow at the same time, and just being a part of it. And then that's how from being into doing graffiti and art, and then starting to put that on clothes, doing airbrush clothing, and just being a part of the culture. A lot of times, like when you live in it, you're not necessarily like, I mean, you're a part of it. So you're not just sitting back and like trying to do nothing. This is what I do, so I'm not trying to do it. I'm doing it,
Right,
and then
right.
it just evolves organically, like I think, even nowadays people like get in the mind state of like, I'm trying to do something, just do that. And then it'll evolve, So we went from being in the culture to getting into putting stuff on clothing, creating like a whole vibe of selling clothes, doing street fairs, and then rolling that over into doing art, gallery shows, and it just evolved all out of that.
Yo, I appreciate you sharing that because, like, and it's funny because Connecticut's small, but
Mm-hmm.
it still has distinct areas, right? And
Yeah,
so I'm from the Hartford area, and so I wasn't really getting to the city like that until I got to be a little older. I wasn't as close, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so when I got to New Haven and it was on, I'm like, oh, we just an hour away now, like
Yeah, yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah. Because
And
Hartford is a little bit like, but once you get to Hartford, it was still Hartford had things going on
oh
up there.
yeah, but in terms of getting, so I went up. So actually, when I been up there, I went up to Boston a lot,
Go to
because it was
Boston a lot too.
wasn't too wasn't too far. But when I was traveling more and moving around more and stuff like that, was able to get around more out on that Metro North,
Mm-hmm.
and we was out, man, and it was like it was so cool. Like I appreciate. It's funny, man, because I moved away and I've been away for like it'll be 20 years. About 20 years now,
Yeah.
and it's funny, man. Like I used to shit on it when I was there.
Mm.
Like, oh, you're not
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
then when I left, I really realized I appreciated
How much you
how,
miss?
yeah, and just proximity to stuff and just diversity to people and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, and I like the fact. I mean, I don't know about you. I was gonna ask you, like, being from CT, like, did you ever? Because so we would go from the dance tip. We would go from New Haven. We'd go to Club Shelter in New York, and
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
and rock it. We would hold it down,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so for us, it was a big deal because New York cast wasn't really trying to give us no love at first. Then we had to show and prove. So
Yeah.
did you have like a? We always had like a chip on our shoulder not, in a way, like, because we
Yeah.
felt like we had to, like, really.
Improve something.
We had to. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
was it
Yeah.
like that for you, like moving around there, or just?
Not really, honestly, because like I said, I mean, it was just about like being who you are. A lot of times when we went places, we stood out, and we weren't like the people in that area. So it was more like, oh, who's these cats? And then,
Yeah.
oh, well, what is this? Because this is different, and we want to rock with them. And then it's a lot of times just how you treat people.
Oh, what the hell? Oh,
Back.
yeah. I don't know what happened. It just.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I mean, a lot of times it's really, how you carry yourself and how you enter
Yeah.
a situation, and then most of the time, you know, when you confident about what you're doing. So whether we was going places, you know, doing graph, doing graffiti, dancing, and then at a certain point, you know, selling our gear and stuff, it was just more about who we were and what we presented. And then a lot of it was like linking up with people. That's another thing. Like we go places and just make friends and have people. So when we come back, we got peoples in those
Yeah,
places. You know what I'm saying? I go to Philly, I can
yeah,
make a call. I got people there. I got people in DC. I got people in Virginia.
yep,
So to me, it
yep.
was just really how you carry yourself. I mean, you peeped it. You know, a lot of times you peep people got an attitude or might be
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a given. But at the same time, it's really how you handle this. So for me, it was
Yeah,
more like approaching the situation with, you know, attracting more, you know, flies with whatever than the other things. You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. And no, I definitely understand what you're saying because you know, like we went there, so it was funny. Like any dance beef we had across the state, like if we saw cats we was kind of beefing with in New York,
Yeah, you always
squashed it. We squashed. It was like, all right,
yeah.
we CT, we hold it, we pick this back up when we get home, and and,
Exactly.
and you
Exactly.
know, it was like, but and this was really just a New York specific thing, and
Hmm.
for us, you know, like you said though, it was fit. You made a good point. You were like, y'all were different and stood out. Like we stood out when we went there, and they were like,
Yeah.
oh, who these cats? And it was like, yo, we're
Yeah.
gonna show you who we are. Like, what up? Like,
Exactly, exactly. And you know, and off the top, you know, anywhere you go, people could be territorial and whatever, but it's just how you use that moment. You know what I mean? And a lot of time, I mean, we never, you know, we have static certain places. You know, you go places, and you always gonna have static somewhere, but we was more into getting some money and holla at, you know, at the peoples than you know, causing beef. But if
yeah,
beef happened, then you know, you deal with it. You
right,
know what I'm
right, right,
saying?
right, right, right,
You know.
right. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, do you think you're So I'm moving. You know, it's funny. I'm moving back to Connecticut,
Mm,
and then I see like youngsters talk about like, oh, it's trash. I'm moving out. Like,
mm.
do you think? I mean, you've been there all your life, right?
No, why
When
I
you
lived in
moved,
VA. I lived in VA for a while. When I was in high school, my senior year, I moved to Norfolk
oh,
to
Norfolk.
VA.
Okay,
So
okay,
I was down there, you know, finished high school. Then I started going to Norfolk State. But
okay.
even when I moved down there, you know, when I moved down there, I had my little car. When I was 16, I got up, you know, don't have my little car and stuff. So I was back and forth. You know, once I was in Norfolk, I was back and forth to DC, you know, Philly,
Yeah,
Richmond. So I was moving around a lot in that area. And for me, that was another thing. Like being from up here and then going down there for a minute is sort of a culture shock because people are different. A lot of, you know, styles and stuff are different, but you just sort of see, you know, how people are. You know, and how the culture is different in different places, and you just adapt to that. You know, so it was more of a learning experience than a culture shock per se. So I
yeah.
lived in Virginia for some time, and I came back in like 94, 5 in that area.
Okay.
Like I say, even when I was down there, you know, by then we had started culture and we were doing a lot of street festivals and stuff like that. And then when I came back, you know, me and my brother, the founders, um, you know, we opened our first store in Norwalk. And then, you know, from there, we just been building from there. But, you know, travel a lot. But like I said, CT is a good place to rest, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, you probably know a lot of. I like when I was moving around in New York a lot. A lot of I met a lot of New Yorkers that were coming up to CT to like dip out of, you know, saying,
Yeah, just to rest your head. You know, I think it all depends on how you look at it. You know, it's all like where your mind state is at. You
right,
know, like I don't think people from Connecticut. You know, I mean, if you're about what you really are, you're not intimidated wherever you go. So to go to the city, go to Brooklyn, go wherever, you move around. But as far as being around here, it's a good place to get your head right and be out of a lot of the madness. You know, chill. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, 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 absolutely. Yo, as far as the art goes, how did you was graffiti the start for you, or was that the like
Definitely,
the
definitely.
jump
That
off?
that that was my introduction because once again going back to the early '80s, Wild Style, B Street, Graffiti Rock, the one or two times it came
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, um, Hot Tracks, and just the introduction of hip hop culture that slowly started coming out. You get a piece of it, and you get that bug. So just the first couple times being, I don't know, maybe 9, 10 or so, going back and forth to the city. I mean, because I don't know if you recall, but just going through the Cross Bronx and the Bruckner, just the walls on the highway was really
oh,
like a gallery. You know what I mean? And then once you get into it, start moving around the streets, and then you see, you know, graffiti on the streets, and then you see the trains go by. So just that bug would just bite you early. And then once Beach Street really hit, you know, was like, oh, okay, this is what's up. And then, you know, as a kid, you get inspired by that, and then you start emulating, you know, get your little tag name, and you know, and then it just grows from there. So graffiti was definitely just the introduction from, I guess, just, you know, a visual artistic expression. Because even before getting into graph, we were already dancing. Once again, it just came organically. You know, I mean, from doing, you know, just regular dancing to developing, you know, styles to break dance and all that. So everything was just mad organic. And then once you start getting into graffiti, it just blew up. So that was my inspiration to get into art. And then from there, you know, I mean, as a graffiti writer, you know, as you know, part of being a graffiti writer is having a different style than anybody else. Nobody wants to, you know, it's like most things that we do, you want to be different to stand out. So by that, I started getting into other forms of art, you know, just getting art books and like studying Picasso, studying expressionism, studying other stuff that I could incorporate into my graffiti styles. And then that helped me develop just an appreciation and just knowledge of art and art history and all of that. And then, but then still filtering it back into doing graffiti. So that, you know, that just inspired me to get deeper into art and start doing canvases and you know, it's just
rest of history. Yeah, that was my jump off too. I mean, like, and it was funny you mentioned the thing about going to you know, just being on the highways. Like, so I remember like we would have like our field trips in elementary school to New York City, you know, Empire State Building.
Yeah,
and I'd just be looking out the bus, bro, like just like, damn, who's this J.A., like, or whatever, you know what I mean, or like, and just everywhere, you know, because it's graph and CT, but like, I mean, as soon as you get to New York, it's like,
it's all over the place. And then once you get old enough, you know, hopping on the train and going to the city, like I said, having people in the Bronx, going to 238th Street, going to, you know, Grand Concourse, having, you know, knowing writers that write, and then you become one of them writers, and you just start developing your style, you know, and then, you know, meeting Scene and meeting Blade and meeting like these real people that you saw in like spray can art and like subway art. You know, I got to meet these people in real life, and it's like, oh, you know, and it's a mutual respect. But as an artist, as much as you respect these people, you still want to come up. You know what I mean? I'm not going to deride nobody. Like, I respect you as an artist, but you still got to have that charisma in you. Okay, now I'm going to take that and try to get better as an artist, and it just helps you just develop as an artist. You know, just meeting these people and just being part of the culture. You know.
Yo, did you have a crew? So like, cause the thing for me, like, again, the growing up, I was like, it was me. We had a crew, but like, it was weird up where I was. Like, we kind of had to figure stuff out on our own. Like, nobody, you know, we weren't going to the city writing at the time. You know, we were younger. Like, so like, how did you learn styles and stuff? Like, did you have like a crew or a mentor or anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, well, one of the first people that I really ran with was my man Sweet, you know, a Puerto Rican kid that grew up with me. I grew up in the court, 261 Ely Avenue. You know, his older brother was in the graph. He used to be in and out of the city. He used to have black books and bring black books around. So we was even like young and just peeping like real black books and stuff like that. So he was more advanced because he was around his brother, and he was, you know, always, he had nice hand style. So being Sweet used to just get together and just be in the room. You know, this is like real young, you know, get together and start, you know, doing tags and doing stuff like that. And then once we got old enough to get outside, start going outside and tagging, you know. And then of course, you know, just locally, it was kids that was in the graph, and you just develop your own little crew, you know what I mean? But you always, you know, part of being a writer, you was always just going to do your thing anyway. So whether you had a crew, whether it was 2 other people or 5 other people, you got busy. You know, and a lot of times when you go out bombing or whatever, it's really like a 2-man crew just to keep things tight. You know what I'm saying? Too many people, somebody get caught, it turns into another thing. So, you know, so you always have somebody to rock with you, but if not, you know.
Yo, what was your kind of take on graph? Like, for me, so my graph career was short lived because I got hemmed up like 2 or 3 times, man. And it was just like, I had like
Yeah.
2 years hanging over my head. I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
go to jail for no graph. Like, I
Yeah.
gotta. If I'm gonna go to jail, I'm gonna do something for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
For a
So,
crime. You know what
right,
I mean?
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so, but my mindset though
Mm.
was I had to get up. Like, I mean, I
Once it's in
respect.
your blood, you got to get up. You know what I
I
mean?
had to like. It was about volume more than. I mean, I love the burners and stuff, and I got into some
Yeah.
of that. I got better with that with markers than with cans. But like with the
Yeah.
cans, I was like, I gotta be every panel.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna get this block, the whole block.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like? Were you more into pieces, or were you more where you did it all? Like,
I was a mix of both. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I mean, I was always tagging. You know, so tagging and getting up was a thing. I like more piecing because to me, like I said, once I got into it, it more came. It became more about the art and the style and the
right,
techniques. So I probably pieced. It's probably 50-50 because you know when you're not piecing, I mean, you keep a mark on, you keep a can, and
yeah,
just getting your name up. You
yeah,
know, so I
yeah,
mean, it's a lot of debate about like what graph is really about being a real vandal and you know going out to bomb. It's about just destroying. That's in your blood. That's in your blood. But at a certain time, you know the art can take over and you start to refine and you can get into doing pieces and whatever. But don't get it messed up. We out to bomb. You
yeah,
know what
right,
I'm
right, right.
saying? You got to get up. So it's a little bit of both. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, and so that's what I was going to ask you next about like the, I mean, there's definitely a divide between most graph writers and street artists, right?
Yeah.
And cats. I mean, I see stuff all the time.
Mhm.
Like big. There's a lot of tension between those two
Yeah.
communities. So, like,
Yeah.
how do you view it being kind of in both worlds? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as a legit graph
Yeah.
writer,
Mm-hmm.
but also a
Yeah.
muralist. I mean, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
What's your take on all that?
My thing is like if you put so much time and energy into being a thing, if you put your time and energy into being an artist, you really shouldn't limit yourself. You know, you should have many styles. I mean, if you look at my stuff, I have a lot of different styles of work that I do.
Bad
And a
stuff.
lot of that keeps me, it helps keeps me sane. But I'm not going if I'm feeling the style or I want to go off into something, why are you limiting yourself? You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And then if it comes to, making money, who else but me? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna do this because I'm a real graffiti writer, but I'm still gonna do it with the integrity of being a real graffiti writer and go and get money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't see nothing wrong with that. What did I devote and do all this studying and do all this for to be like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I'm just a vandal. I get that money here, and then when the night falls, you still go out and you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna turn it down. So I mean, so there's that aspect, but then there is also the aspect of like you're saying, just the friction between quote unquote street art, which is become almost like sort of commercialized and the tool for gentrification to take over neighborhoods, and then it becomes like who are the quote unquote street artists? Because almost a lot of times that becomes a whitewash term to get people of color out of the whole the public art aspect of things. It's like, okay, we
Mm.
don't want to deal with you, because you're a graffiti writer, but then we'll take this kid that graduated from Parsons or whatever and classifies himself as a street artist and he does little polka dots and this is cool, but what you do because of where you come from, we're not accepting that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that becomes a friction because a lot of people start getting opportunities based on being quote unquote street artists, where the real people that pay dues to introduce this form of art to society get pushed to the side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. And that's when, yeah, that's definitely when it becomes a problem. When previously in a neighborhood you were hemming cats up for graph,
yeah,
now you got a
yeah,
coffee shop, an
yeah,
oxygen bar, and then
yeah,
you're hiring, whatever to make it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. To come in and paint little, daffodils and stuff like that, which there's nothing wrong with daffodils, but it seems like it's just a process, a vetting process that a lot of times people that really pay dues miss out on. And then,
Right.
but then sometimes you shoot yourself in the foot because you don't want to play the game. It's all a game, so you
Right.
have to be able to adapt but still keep the integrity of your artwork. You
Right.
know?
Right. And that's a good point, man. I think a lot of people miss that. It's really about, kind of about intention, right? So like
Yeah,
if you're a writer, to me, I'm looking at you like a fool. If somebody wants you to like do something on the side of their building, you're like, nah,
yeah,
nah, I'm
Yeah, nah, or I don't do that. Well, I'm gonna keep it real and all. I mean, like, it's like, yo, you playing yourself, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should be the one to do it and show and keep that standard of how it should be done.
Right.
Like, and
Right.
that's another thing. I think I heard you say it on one of these. We got to get back to gatekeeping. This is our culture. You know what I'm saying? Some things, it should be rules to certain things, and certain things shouldn't be done in the name of our culture. When we let anything slide just for $1, then that's how everything starts getting prostituted out.
Right. I mean, let's stay there for a minute. I mean,
Mm.
like we're gonna get into hip hop deeper, but just as far as that goes with all of these things, man. I mean,
Mm.
like what? Because now that's like a problem. Like this, you call anything out, you say anything. It's like I'm sitting here thinking, like, yo, I didn't make up these rules. These rules were y'all just decided not to follow them no more. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah. This is like it's universal law to a certain extent. Y'all breaking the universal law. Don't be mad at me.
right. I'm just saying something like to me, I'm looking like everybody should be saying something that's our
Yeah.
age or whatever about some of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, but that's why I rock with you, because you'll get on there and you'll just go at people. But that's what we need. Honestly, but that's what kept a lot of stuff in line back in the days. If you was a sucker and you weren't about what you were about, you get beat up or you get punched in your chest or you would just get checked, and then that would make you go back to the drawing board and get yourself tight. So when you come out, you could show and prove. Now it's just a free for all. And then you got the people that are quote unquote, policing things that are just like, hey, anything goes. So it's a free for all. So when
Yeah.
the culture starts to get watered down and everybody's like, oh, this sucks, it sucks. Well, you supporting the reason why it sucks because you don't have no principles about
Right. And I always say, man, like standards. There's no such thing as a fluctuating standard, or else it wouldn't be a standard.
it.
Like
No, no,
it doesn't move.
no. And I mean, I say that a lot of times too. Like, I can't be a cat, that plays a violin and just go to the Philharmonic and just get on stage and start doing anything. Yeah, man, making crazy noise. They be like, yo, you gotta get out of here. That don't go. We have standards of what you need to be doing, or else you can't step on this stage.
Right.
Now, and under the guise of getting paid or likes or popularity, if anything goes, it's like, okay, well then that's the reason why the culture is deprived right now.
Yeah, the thing is, number one thing that I hear a lot is, but he getting money though. He getting money though.
Yeah,
But I'm getting money.
but we see how that goes. Because 9 times out of 10, half of the cats that get money, their next song is, oh, I'm depressed, everybody hate me, I can't trust nobody. Like, your music is like, you got money, but you rapping about being depressed. The money ain't helping you, B. So, you know what I mean? I can't trust my homies. Everybody sucks. Like, damn, I thought you got money though. So that's not the answer to everything, especially nowadays.
It's they gotta have some integrity in this. Yo, what's your like creative process like? I mean, I saw a couple clips of you sharing about some things. You like throw some paper down, like
Yeah.
because for me, like I got into graffiti and I never really did like abstract art. It was always hard for me when I went to Pear College in Hamden for a minute.
Okay.
Like my teacher had us do some abstract stuff, and my brain just wasn't. I don't know. Maybe I was like holding on to stuff, and I wasn't able to like just let loose. But like, how do you like? I like your work.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like sit down and come up with something like?
It depends on what it is, because once again I work on working collection. So some stuff, like you might have seen, I do real representational stuff. I do some poster style stuff where it's people and stuff that you can identify with. When it comes to the abstract, a lot of that is just being able to let go. For me, it becomes more like therapy that I then go into more as an art. But I really start with a lot of forms. So whether it's like letters or faces or color palettes, and then start creating around these things. So it's not just like totally off the top of my head. I'll take a picture of something that I may like, or I'll start working with a particular word and then break apart the letters and just really stretch stuff out so it becomes more of an abstract piece. And then from that, it's just it's, for me, my abstract stuff is more like therapy. So I try
Are you in like a certain mood?
yeah. When I'm in a certain mood, or like even certain movies, like I feel like a lot of times when I watch a lot of science fiction movies, I get inspired to do more spacey, abstract looking stuff. But in that the process of creating it, it's hard to even define. I mean, a lot of times it's just like I said, it just sort of comes out as therapeutic.
Yeah, yeah. Do you? I mean, you've got a lot of like statement art, I guess I would call it, as far
Mm-hmm.
as like political stuff and just things, just really talking about like Black history and some things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like what's the reaction? Because I want to cop the posters are really dope, like the baseball team joints. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
that's
like,
that's the that's whole body of stuff that I started doing, years ago. But once again, a lot of that comes from just studying, reading, having a lot of information, and want to convey this information to people in a way that's sometimes, not too preachy or not too over the top, but that's almost put in a sarcastic, satire almost form. But once you look into it, it's really like messages and really things that I want to convey to people.
right,
So
right.
like, I have like the Revolutionary Negro League collection of stuff, and then a lot of my whole new vintage stuff is subject matter that is historical. It's like it's factually historical stuff, but it's then put in a poster or a visual form that when you first see it, it's like, hey, that's cool, and it's like, hold up, it says genocide, and he's holding like a 40-ounce bottle. Like, where is he going with that?
Right, right.
But that is still exploring like the whole concept of flooding our communities with 40s back in the 90s, and a lot of them, that malt liquor was 10 times stronger than regular alcohol and is only in our communities. If that's not a form of almost like scientific experimentation, then what is? You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right,
It can
right.
still be presented in a way that is just a piece of visual art.
Yeah, no, I think it's dope. I mean, because it makes you, because at first glance, some of it's like, oh, this is just an ad, or it's like or it's just a poster, and then you're
Yeah,
like, Mississippi murderers. You're like,
yeah,
all right, word,
yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And and,
so
and even with those, I do a lot of research before I even create the posters.
yeah,
So I'm researching like with that I have two different teams, and then okay, with this team, I want to research like what information I can then turn into a visual thing that supports this team, and then the next team do the same, and then have them like competing teams in a poster that's supposed to be about like a baseball game. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
and also inspired by it's a friendly game of baseball,
Friendly
made
game of
so it's
baseball.
yeah my peoples. But it's to me, I mean, ultimately in any collection that I create, I'm still saying something. I still want the viewer to get something out of it. Even with my abstract stuff, a lot of times abstract is, I want people to get whatever they get, but it's abstract is more like I want the viewer to get a feeling, because it's not as literal. But even within that, when I can construct my abstract paintings or drawings or whatever, it's coming from a place where I have an idea that I still want to convey, the energy to go into that piece, whether it's not, even if it's not as literal, like when you see it, I want you to, oh, like, something's going on, like an explosion. It's like, okay, something's going on in this piece,
So with the abstract stuff, because I saw in a clip of yours where you were talking about that you want the, the person to kind of get what they get out of it,
Yeah.
but you're obviously still trying to. I mean, there is still something you're trying
Oh
to
yeah.
get across. So I'm just saying, so like it won't be silly here. Like, what if you do something and the person has a complete opposite idea of what you were intending? Like, I mean,
I respect that, and it still conjured up a feeling out of the person. It wasn't a blank wall, or it wasn't, so even if you got something that I didn't necessarily intend, or that wasn't coming directly from my feeling, you still got a feeling. So a lot of times people might point out things that I didn't see,
right,
like even from the concept of it being therapy and almost being subconscious. Sometimes people will point out stuff that I didn't even know I was putting up, and it inspires me. People will be inspiring me through my work.
you don't work.
So but
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that, for me, that's what art is about, man. It shouldn't be too crazy serious. Like, like you create, and then the world gets it and does with it what they will.
Right, right, right. Yeah. What's the what do you like to do the most? I mean, as far as this, I mean, I've seen you do the murals. I mean, there's just so much different types of stuff that I've seen from you. Like, what do you like to like? What
I mean, I just
is there
like to
something?
be.
Okay, I'll say this: is there something that you would gun to your head? Is there something that you lean towards? A style that you would lean towards.
I definitely like the vintage poster styles, stuff where I'm doing a lot of the study and then creating the pieces. Because to me, it's that is more saying something, and that's me like definitely trying to convey some ideas that people might run with, and those are a little bit more involved. Even as far as like the painting of the pieces, the layout, the amount of work that goes into them, which now it's hard to get time to do that. I mean, even when you create paintings, if you do a painting that's, you got 20 hours or 30 hours invested into, it's hard to get that much time to even work on a piece. You know what I'm saying? From, running a business, having kids, doing so much other stuff, sometimes it's hard to be able to sit down and dedicate that much time to a piece. But when I can do that, it's most fulfilling, you know. But
Yeah.
I mean, everything I do. I mean, every style I do, I feel is like a part of me. I almost equate it to being like a musician that can play country music, that can play jazz music, that can play different forms of music, but you're still a musician. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. That makes sense. Yo, how does one get to like get commissioned to paint a mural? How's that work? I mean, I
It
like
it really. I mean, now it's gotten a lot easier. Just throughout time from getting early commissions. I mean, as young as like I don't know, maybe 14 or 15. As far as public art, but early just doing stuff on clothing and doing canvases and people knowing that you do work and then wanting to get stuff done. It came by that means. But nowadays there's just so much you know room and request for public art. There's agencies that are everybody's looking for public art because it sort of goes back into using public art to revitalize communities and to make places look better. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are looking for public art. But back in the days, it was just like, graffiti helped me get a lot of public art. Just people seeing pieces that they liked or just hearing that you did work and then wanting to get work done inside of their restaurants on the side of a building. And as a graph writer, them just knowing that you could come and adapt to those spaces, then they would reach out to you. But now, I mean, there's so many people looking for public art, and once again, the social media, just having your work out, just constantly posting stuff. People are always looking for stuff.
yeah, that's true too. I mean, I lived in Philly for a minute, and they have a whole Philly mural arts
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thing. I mean,
Exactly. You have municipalities. Philly's was one of the. I mean, there's a lot of different. LA did it, but Philly is really known for their public art mural
yeah,
projects
yeah, they
and
get
programs.
grants. Yeah,
Yeah, get grants, but a lot of that came from wanting to stem the graffiti. You want to cut back on graffiti, so it's like, okay, let's get these public art programs where we can hire graffiti artists to help create actual murals and stuff like that. And then a lot of times, once a mural goes up, it gets respected. That's another thing too. A lot of times, people come and want to get a piece put up because that'll keep graph writers from tagging the wall if they respect stuff. Nowadays nobody respects nothing, but for the most part, if a nice piece goes up on the wall, it'll get respected and it'll keep people from tagging up certain areas.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. For me, maybe it's just because I don't know. Like I love looking at written shit on walls. I don't.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
no,
I
so
just
do I. I'm with you. I'm
even like phone booths and stuff. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. Just the textures and then especially when if you're from the culture, so just the different hairstyles and how they did that, and especially now, like cats just doing the vertical joints, like on the sides of buildings. You got to be a mountain climber to do that. Like it's like just knowing what it takes to even do certain stuff is you got to respect it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
just it comes from a whole different place.
Yeah, especially traffic signs and stuff. You're like, yo, like
Yeah, having spots and you're like, yo, how did he get up there? And it's like, I mean, you know what it takes to get that done. And then even once you get up there to do a nice piece, sometimes you see a piece that's like way up high, but it's wacky. Like you
yeah,
went all the way up there for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when you see a nice piece in a nice spot, and it's
Yep.
like, wow, that's dope. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Um, let's get into the hip hop a little bit as far as just the whole culture of it. I mean, it's like
Mm.
I thought this was, you talked a little bit about like some of your experiences coming up. I saw a thing on your page. You were carrying cardboard somewhere. It was a picture. Where were y'all going? You were breaking. It
Oh,
was like
we were breaking. It's me and Sweet, my man Sweet, that came up doing graph together. We were at the Oyster Festival. I don't know if you heard about the Oyster
I've
Festival.
heard of
No, way back in the
it.
days, but there's a little competition there, and they used to have like different age groups, talent competitions, and we entered in the whatever 12 to or 10 to 12 or 10 to 15 category, and we had our little routine, and we get busy, and then he throw me and do a backflip, and then I land, and we got third place, and we got a gift certificate to Crazy Eddie and whatnot.
Crazy Eddie, yo.
Yo, we got a gift certificate to Crazy Eddie, and I don't even remember what we bought, man. It was like a $50 gift certificate for back then. It was like, yo, we ain't got something, but yeah, but I mean, those you hate to be like, oh, those was the days, the good old days, and nobody, but those was the days, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause as kids, you just got into stuff and you really got into it, whether it was like breaking or BMX bikes or skateboarding. You got into it and you were just into it, and it kept you occupied, it kept you dedicated, and it was a dope time.
You made a good point earlier, man, about like, when we were younger, and so it's cliche to say, all right, yeah, those were the days, but they were the days. They were the days because we didn't have really bills, responsibilities, and so when we're doing stuff, like you mentioned, you did like the graph and breaking, like we just did it, and then we kind of found our lane, and like because I was always saying like everybody back in the day had a hand style. You may not have been a writer, but you knew how to write your name in a dope way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was just you had to. So
you had to, yeah.
Did you DJ or MC or anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely write. I was a writer, like went from a writer like graph writing to like writing poems and whatnot. So there was that whole aspect of making beats. Even today I still dabble with beats, but I made beats. I wrote. I had a hot bars, and then it got into a thing of just writing poetry. So rhythm, rapping, but more of a poetic style. And then even at one of my store locations, we used to have every Friday night was like open mic night. So a lot of poets would come and do their whole thing at that time where, now there's a lot of, poetry rooms and people doing whatever, but it was still in the early developmental stage. So a lot of poets now that you might know came through our spot, was like spitting their poems like for the first time type of thing, and since it was our store, we could be open all night. So we would have our store open up until like 10 o'clock, take a break. And then from like 12 to like 4 in the morning, people could just come, grab the mic and, and spit their poems and stuff like that. So, yeah, so I did all that. I did from making beats to rhyming to writing poetry to graph to dancing. I mean, all of the elements, I guess you could say.
All of it, bro. And for me, I mean, that's why I tell people a lot. Like, I mean, I came into this as a dancer and a graph writer. So, and then kind of I messed with the MCing and producing and stuff, beats. I kind of gravitated to what came more natural because I didn't want to shortchange. I was like, if I'm an MC, I gotta put everything into it. But it's like you said, we just did it, man. Like somebody had some cans. Like I went bombing on prom night, bro. Like my man had cans in the car and was like, yo, I got some cans. I was like, all right, let's go get it.
Let's go. Or like you're saying, like we would go out to a spot in the city and dance or whatever. And then after that, you break off or you hitting stuff on the way back to the train or just you going out after the club, like that's when you went to bomb. And then you wake up in the morning and you might do some stuff. And it was just more fluid, like you're saying, being in the culture, you didn't have to define, I'm doing this, say I'm doing this. It was just what you did. It came natural.
So do you think, but this is a nice segue to my next question. Do you think, so we come from a time when all of the elements were kind of together. They were respected. We kind of dabbled in everything. People and MCing and rapping wasn't the predominant thing, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when you think of when the average person, even if they talk hip hop, they're usually thinking of rap.
Yeah,
it's the first thing. Do you think it'll ever get back to where the culture is more unified, if you will, like as far as like just all of the elements kind of being?
I think so. I think the main reason why rap has been isolated because that's been one of the main things that has been commercialized out of the culture. It was the easiest thing to commercialize and package and sell. Recreate. You make CDs, you do whatever, and then now streaming and all that, but once you record something, then it becomes a commodity that you can then just sell. It's easier than selling somebody dancing or even art and all that. So I think that's why, you know, hip hop and rap got isolated and turned into that. But I think it's gonna be some like a turnaround, because as much as AI and all this stuff is taking over and streaming and all this chat whatever nonsense, I think people are gonna ultimately get tired of it. You know, and I feel like I don't think it's ever gonna be the way it used to be, quote unquote, because I don't think anything's gonna be exactly what it used to be. But I think it'll take a new form, but have more integrity. You know, I mean, at least I hope so. You know,
I hope so too.
because
I
I
mean,
mean, at a certain point, it's sort of it's burning itself out. And even, you know, along hip hop, there's still the undercurrent of people that spit in. There's still MCs. There's still all of that. You know, it's not like hip hop is dead, even as far as that. But we just have to get to that point where, like you're saying, it ain't about the money. I know that sounds cliche, but I think it's going to get to that point because people aren't going to be making the money. Like with streaming, you're not making no money, so you might as well get back to, you got to get back to something else, even if you want to make some money. So you got to get back to some integrity and even the means by which you're making money off of your talent, because you're getting raped right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's not even
shillings. It's like,
yeah, you get shillings. So I might as well. People are gonna have to do something different, even if they want to live off their talent. You know, just as a base reason. You know,
right. Yeah, my man says it all the time. He's in here now. We always talk about it. Like it has to. The money can't be the primary focus. There has to be some integrity in this.
Yeah,
it has to be like,
yeah.
you know, and that goes back to what you were saying about us, like, you know, gatekeeping, if you will, or just paying attention to the standards and like checking. You know, it's like. You can be back, you know, like PM Dawn got literally thrown off the stage for you know, whatever. Like,
and that was something that was just, you know, publicized and known. That threat was at any block party, anywhere you went. If you wasn't nice with it, don't even touch the mic.
Don't touch the mic. Don't
in
touch
your
the
soul, you knew
circle.
like, yo, I'm not even gonna step up there and do that, because whether it was getting beat up or whatever, and that ain't not saying that, you know, violence is whatever, but it's just these certain codes. But then that made you want to get nice. It wasn't like, you know, you can't do it. It's like you have to get to a point where you're secure and you're confident and you know you got skill. Now I'm gonna get up there and somebody like KRS ain't gonna jump out and just beat up on me, because he's gonna respect me more than you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Don't grab the mic. Don't get in the circle.
No.
All that it's worth. I mean, I go back. I mean, I actually, 30 years later, I reflecting on the PM Dawn. I mean, they were actually pretty talented, but
they were, but
that wasn't the element for them.
No. And Chris was sort of wrong for beating up. You know what I mean? But it still was like it was a piece of the culture that needed to be, you know, a light shined on. Like, yo, if you're not really about what you say you're about, somebody got to check you.
Yeah. I mean, and it happened in like really with every element, like breaking, dancing, and stuff like that. Like if you're not getting in that circle, if you
no. And if you did, you get booed, or a nicer dancer might just do a move and get you off the floor. That's what it was about. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody wasn't, you know, it's like we're breeding like a punk society almost, you know, which you gotta get away from that, you know.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's funny because it can sound like us as two old men get off my lawn with the shotgun and we got some lemonade. But there's a reason why, to me. I mean, maybe it's just there's a reason why, like, our shows were better, our cartoons were better, our clothes was better, like our commercials were better, even our wax shit was better.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think people are starting to recognize it. I mean, even like you're saying, it could sound like it's coming from like a disgruntled old head type of thing, but I think even a lot of the young cats, they're starting to recognize that something is wrong, even with what they're doing. They may not want to give it up to the older dudes, because like, I don't want to be right. I'm not trying to say certain things to be right. I want you to be the cat that carries the torch. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be that person, you know? And I think everybody's starting to see it, because everybody's, you know, bitching and moaning and griping that, oh, this sucks. There's something else got to give, but we got to address the issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I want to get into the brand. It's fire. I've been seeing it since I was So did it start in you started in '89? Is that
I
what
mean,
was that?
roughly we used that year because that was, and it might not have even been under the name Culture. That came a little bit later, but '89 is roughly around the time when, like I said, me and my man Sweep and my brother and we had several different people that were involved with our crew started doing stuff, starting putting airbrushing T-shirts and putting painting Lee jackets and Lee jeans, and so just starting to take the art and put it on clothing. That was more of the origin, and then as we started to evolve, adapted to the name Culture and started running from there.
Yeah. So did you said you had a store at one point?
We had a couple stores. Like our
Okay.
first thing was back in the days, everything was out the trunk of the car. So from making T-shirts, pulling up in where we live in the project, selling stuff out of the car, doing a lot of street festivals, traveling. And then by the time I came back from VA, we opened up our first store on Washington Street in Norwalk. Um, did that for a few years. Um, moved from that location. We had 3 different locations in Norwalk, probably over like 14 some odd years. And then one of our satellites was in Atlanta because some of our peoples from up here that we opened our first store as sort of a conjunction with, they moved down to Atlanta. And then we opened the outpost down there that was open for a few years. Yeah, so we had store locations. And then even, within the time doing that, we were doing a lot of trade shows. So we would go back and forth to Magic's. I don't know if you ever heard of
Yeah, I went to
Magic.
Magic. I was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
buyer.
yeah.
I was a buyer for like a long time ago for an outdoor store. So
Okay, yeah. So
yeah,
we did Magics, and we would do that twice a year. So we'd go in
Magic was dope.
February. Yeah. And just being out in Vegas, and once again, you get out there, you meet people from all over the world, really, because everybody comes out there to buy and sell. So we did Magics for a bunch of years, and just being in the whole industry. But the industry has changed so much. Even like Magic is sort of splintered, and now there's a lot of smaller trade shows, and a lot of stuff has changed over the years, but
Yeah.
we ran that cycle for years.
So what's the energy behind the brand? I be feeling like I'm really feeling like just the ruggedness. You got
Yeah,
crowls and the gas
yeah,
cans.
yeah.
Like,
I mean that.
what's the vibe behind this whole shit?
I mean our ethos that really defines what we've been about is rugged lifestyle, and I sort of break that up into 3. Like the rugged itself, representing just being able to adapt, live off the land, studying. I mean, wherever you are, be able to make yourself prosper and make it happen. Life is, part of being alive. Taking care of yourself. Health, exercising, studying, getting your mind right. And then the style part of it is having style with what you do. You know what I'm saying? Everything you do, I mean, it could be simple. It doesn't have to be like the most stylish person, but it's your personal style. So those 3 words are ethos, and we've always tried to stick to that, as far as just from the design concepts to, where we position ourselves, things that we do and don't do. It's like a lot of times I've been fighting not to explode or not to over commercialize or not to get some investors and then just start making crazy products, and then, people hate your clothes after like 4 years. You know what I'm saying? It's more about like trying to build a legacy brand that can continue throughout the years. So
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, are you? I mean, it seems. So I was plus. First of all, I started seeing the culture like '94 ish. I think '95 maybe on some cats.
yeah. That's
Sound
when
about
we
right?
had our first store
Like
probably.
95, 96 ish, right around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was in New Haven, so I saw it a little bit more. Um, Dulio got a bunch of shit, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn, this is dope. Like, and I was seeing like seeing it, and we're gonna talk about this in a minute,
Mm-hmm.
but like so it still seems, and then when I saw you online and everything, I'm like, damn, they're still around. This is
Mm-hmm.
dope.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it still seems like kind of like an exclusive, limited, or is that's intentional?
That's been intentional. It's been intentional. I mean, because I once again being in the industry, being able to be in a lot of different rooms. I've been in rooms with everybody from the Fubu Cats to Ralph to being in these situations where you see how even certain brands come and go, and you wonder what happens to them. you know, and definitely you always want to scale. Everybody wants to become a billionaire, a millionaire, whatever. But at a certain point, it's like what do you want your brand to be known for, and what type of longevity do you want to try to build, you know? And it can be like, okay, you get to a point where you building it up, and then like I said, you sell to a certain point, and then you're not cool anymore, and then you start dealing with fads and trying to follow fads and chase trends and all that. Or you can figure out a way to just maintain and have pops, but have certain people and have your clientele that rock with you for generations. You know what I mean? We got people that their grandkids is copying from us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like generations of people that respect the brand and what we do, as opposed to it was cool for 2 summers and then now it's like nobody wants to wear that type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's always been the goal, man.
Yeah, no, that's dope, man. I mean, I think it's dope. I mean, like, because how many brands, there were a few dope brands that came out in the 90s that were gone in like the next summer, next year. You know what I mean?
But
And
that's what I'm saying, from being in the industry and knowing why that happened. I mean, doing all the trade shows, I know a lot of them cats from Carl Kanai to PMB to, you know, all these brands that start out organically, but then what happens? You get investors, you start, you know, making stuff overseas, you start, you know, trying to scale up and sell everywhere and sell in Walmart and everything.
yeah, then all of a sudden it's in
Yeah.
Walmart.
And then 9 times out of 10, you can't even make a call. The original people don't have anything to do with it because you sold, you know, you got a little piece of money, but now it's a corporate thing. The corporate is always designed to make money for the investors. Once it ain't cool and you do something to water it down and then the people don't want it no more, it's out of here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Now, I mean, one could say, well, at least those investors, you know, they got a couple million or whatever. But then, trust me, man, I know a lot of dudes that, like, I know them, and they like, yo, man, if we would have never sold our brand, I would change it. I would change everything just to go back to just the organic, doing it from where we at, than to do that, because the money gonna run out, and then what you left with? You know what I mean?
So I don't know if Eblin's is still out in your area. You ever familiar with that store, Eblin's?
Yeah.
So
Evelyn's wrapped up.
so I was a buyer for, so they were like Bob's, but
Yeah.
and then they switched to urban stuff, and so
Yeah.
I became a buyer for them, and so
Yeah.
we were going to the city every week,
Mm-hmm.
look at lines, Rockaware. This was like that, you know,
Yeah.
John and Nietzsche, all that, and you started seeing lines when they were with their original people versus when VR got them, or when like
and they got bought out. Exactly.
or when like, you know, whatever group, like I remember like first, like when Mecca came out, and then when Mecca got bought by whomever it was, I'm like,
I mean, Mecca and Nietzsche, all them cats, like I said, in that podcast, even when you out at Magic's, that's all you see. I mean, there's cats coming through, a lot of Asian cats, a lot of whatever. Yo, we want to invest, we want to buy, we want to boom, you know. And it's like you could take the money, but then you look up and they pimp your stuff out, and it just becomes garbage. Yeah. And if you notice, I mean, now, like, just from an industry aspect, everything is sort of coming like full circle now. Now everybody wants like more unique stuff. They want, you know, boutique style stuff. They want one-on-ones. It's like that's what people really want. They want to feel something. You don't want just fast fashion and Fashion Nova and all that shit. Ain't nobody, you know what I mean? Anybody self-respectful person ain't really wearing
I mean, the cookie cutter mentality is gonna go there, but like anybody that has, like you said, self-respect is gonna
but it's understand. It's like human nature. I mean, you living in a capitalist society, so you understand how it works, but it's just you have to make the decision as to what you want to do with your brand and your life, you know.
So you make everything. I mean, it's like limited runs of everything for you, right?
For the most part. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'll bring stuff back in. I like to create stuff and then have it mix in, so you're not even sure. It's not like, okay, you know, sometimes I'll say like this is spring 26 or whatever, but I like to get to a point where it's just pieces out there. So when somebody buys a piece, they feel like, oh, this is not just out of the catalog per se, but this is a piece. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like, I mean, how much time do you dedicate to is that your baby, or is it like, or do you got, I mean, I know you got a bunch of stuff going on. Is that your main project?
Yeah. I mean, that's the main thing. It's like 50-50. If you ever come to my studio, like I got gear stuff happening, I got art stuff happening. You know what I mean? And when that's how you make a living, then you figure out how to make it work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but but with the clothes, I'm able to design and have a body of stuff that then I could get it produced, and then that's sort of living over there. Then now I have time to create the art, and then it's a delicate balance of creativity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So then, and I won't. I don't want to nerd. I'm gonna nerd out with you later on like the sourcing and retails because that's just. I mean, I was in that world for like 15 years.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm counting now, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, but so you gotta. I mean, everything's because I saw some stuff. It said like it's. I've seen you like
Dyeing
using
stuff.
dyeing
Yeah,
and stuff. Like
yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
like pieces are like one of a kind almost. Some of them, right?
Yeah. Even stuff that's like a similar design, but it'll get dyed in the dye process. Each dye piece, it could be the same blue color, but it still has different characteristics.
Right.
And I have it down to a science to whereas then you could do 24 of this and 24 of that, and then you look up and you got 100 some odd pieces or whatever, and then they all get mixed in with other stuff you're creating. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because there's ways to do it. I feel like once again going back to a capitalist system and just numbers and commodities, you feel like just more is better. I gotta go to Japan. I mean go to China and get 10,000 piece units of one particular piece and all that. But in reality, you're gonna have that stuff sitting in the warehouse not moving because the people aren't buying in that fashion anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather make 24 pieces and sell those 24 pieces than make 200 pieces and only sell 24. Now I'm sitting on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how do you?
Yeah, it's all in how you model your business. Less is not always better. I mean, more is not always better. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, then you're sitting on stuff. I learned that the hard way with T-shirts and stuff. I was like, I had a design that was, I got some. This was when I was like 17, and the design got really good feedback. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, let me get like 180 of these joints. I mean, I like.
Yeah. And you could do that, but now it's sort of and keeping stuff in house or local. If I sell out, then I can get more done. Right. I don't have to go to China and wait 6 months for it to come and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just different ways of how you handle the business.
Right. No, it makes perfect sense. I remember as a buyer, we'd be sitting on like, my boss would be like, "Why'd you get like 10 double XLs or 10 smalls? Like, chill out, bro." Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Now he's sitting there. They marked out red line.
Yeah.
So no, I got you. But, talk a little bit about Buff Day Brands, man, because I really, my wife loves the back of the hoodie. Mm-hmm. It's got some brands. Like talk a little bit about that vibe, and then talk also a little bit about. I mean, I've seen you in other brands, so it's not like you just wear your own stuff.
No.
You got the low Japanese joint.
Yeah. I rock low. I might have some Louis pieces. Because once again, we come from that. It's like being an artist and being in this culture is like you're a living contradiction. Like the stuff that you fight against, sometimes you still can respect and you still might think, you know what I'm saying? But the concept of that is not allowing it to really control your definition of who you are as a person. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could rock that, but that doesn't define you. You know what I'm saying? And it goes back to just being able to live off the land and be fly. Like if you have a style, wherever you go, that's gonna radiate. So you could see somebody that's got Gucci on head to toe, but you's a clown. You know what I'm saying? So it's not as much about the brand as it's who's rocking it, because a lot of times we made these brands fly anyway.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? From back in the days, taking luxury brands and restyling them and bringing them to the street and quote unquote creating streetwear. Now this whole term, but it was from us taking these brands and taking things and making them fly and then representing them. So it's about just knowing who you are and defining who you are as yourself. So like I said, I rock pieces, but I still buff them too. I cut it up if it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've seen a few things that you did. I mean, I like to think you did some with some Jordans too that were.
I'm gonna chop them up and all that, and because that's just what it is. So then it's like, okay, somebody see you with them on, it's like, oh, you got on the regular ones, but this somebody that took them and just did them up. That takes it to another level. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that's the concept.
Yeah. So I mean, in the end, it definitely sounds like it. It's about, you brought this point up earlier. It's about like being who you are, like
Ultimately.
like just being authentic, being genuine, having integrity. The brand ain't like you said. Somebody can have the brand on head to toe and be a complete goofball.
And you're a goofball. I mean,
Somebody can be thrift store down
yeah,
and
and
fresh to death.
and that's where it's going now. I mean, if you follow fashion, quote unquote, trends, or you're in the business, that's why thrift and vintage is so big now. And a lot of even companies that are producing stuff are having hard times because people are recycling and upcycling and doing all this stuff and figuring out ways to make that fly. All these companies that's making all this stuff in these factories, it ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? But
right,
people have figured out like it's more about your own particular style,
right,
and hopefully standing out. I think we went through a phase, and it's still a phase where people trying to look like everybody. Everybody needs an influence, but I think even within that, people want to be more individual. You know.
yeah. I mean, you'll see companies now, right? I mean, like you go off, like Urban Outfitters is big for this, so they do like making all like the vintage tees and stuff,
Yeah,
rock
yeah,
star
yeah,
tees.
yeah,
That
yeah,
became like
yeah.
a thing. So
Exactly,
but
exactly.
so now it's trendy, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely about how you present and how you carry yourself, though.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna once again, if we talking about saving hip hop and saving hip hop culture, it's that resurgence of people getting back into being individuals and not wanting to just be clones and wanting to step away from hopefully, like I said, this AI nonsense and this just being so computerized is going to be a good thing, a saving factor, I think, for what's going on. You know,
Right, right. Um, Yo, I was gonna say, oh, what's been your biggest um moment or proudest moment as an artist or business owner? I mean, just you've been doing this for a long time. I mean, like, what's been like, or just not the biggest, but just like a shining light, and just as far as like, man, I'm really proud of this.
I mean, just particularly, I mean, just the influence on kids, on like a younger generation. You know, people that I don't necessarily know, but then I meet and they know about my work and they have interpreted my work in a way that I wanted it to be interpreted. And they get it. You know what I'm saying? Just like younger people, whether it's my own personal kids or kids that I know or just people that I don't even know. So just like the younger people and just people in general, just respecting whether it's art or the clothes or just things that I produce. To me, that's the biggest compliment. And you're gonna make money. I mean, I've done stuff where I've made money, but even like a lot of times when I make money doing things, in the back of my mind, just I want to put that into what I do.
Right.
So it's like, but
That's
just
huge, man. Touching affecting the youth and the
yeah,
kids. I mean, because there's a big disconnect now in a lot of ways, and so like when you're able to like
there,
reach
yeah,
them, I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, there is, but I think the kids, they want to know something different. It's so much going on. As much as, like I said, it can be contradictory, but as much as they're locked into the phones and all this nonsense, I think once they're presented with something different,
right,
then they start to get a different vibe.
right,
And then
right.
you show them, okay, well, this is where this certain thing originated. Go study this or go find out this. It gives them, something else to go on.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. Shout out to Rhapmatic and the Beat Junkies. They got the Beat Junkies Institute of Sound, and
That's
they're teaching kids out there, like
yeah,
young kids, cutting up
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything. So
yeah. So
got to give them present something else,
yeah,
right?
yeah, you gotta present something else and be about something else. A lot of times, people just seeing how you move, and you may not even know that they're watching, but at least they have a reference point as to, okay, this is somebody that's doing something different. I don't have to go that way. I could, do my own thing and be my own person.
Right, right,
That's
right,
the
right, right.
biggest thing to me.
Right. So culture's still going on. It's weird, man, because it had been so long.
Mm-hmm.
And, things over
Yeah,
30-year period of time, they
yeah,
go away, right?
yeah,
Like you
yeah, yeah, yeah,
go back home and
yeah,
stores are gone, whatever.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I was very pleasantly surprised and happy to see that. I'm like, damn, this is still going on. It was
yeah,
like it gave
yeah,
me so much fire, yo. So
yeah.
how can people how can people cop? Like, what's going on with the brand? I mean, like, where? I mean, you don't. Man said you got like you watch not Man. I've seen pop ups you do with like sometimes in New Haven
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely, we're about to get back on the pop up run. Once the spring breaks, so we do a lot of stuff. Even at my studio, a lot of times we'll open up. I'll reach out to other designers, and we'll have a big pop up in my studio parking lot. And then different locations. We either link up with people with boutiques or with locations that we can do pop ups in, and always at culture.com. And that's the main thing.
Yeah, culture.com and you got your art page. I just checked it out for the first time today too. Art of
Yeah, yeah. Artofjermaine.com. That's a good reference point for a lot of my work.
yeah,
Um,
the yeah, I'm gonna cop one of them baseball joints. Them joints are fire. What size are the prints? Do you know offhand?
I think it might be. I think those might be 18 by 24,
18
if
by
I'm not
24. Okay,
mistaken.
standard. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what my posters are.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you're not familiar, everybody rock with. I'm trying to put this in the chat.
Definitely. Artofjermaine.com and culture.com. And I would like to plug, stay tuned. I got a big public art project that I'm working on in Norwalk, in South Norwalk. That's going to be rolling out like over the summer. I'm gonna have a couple different opportunities for people to come in and help paint, and then the installation of the actual mural is going to be open for people to come and participate. But if you check, my Instagram, and my website, I'm gonna be updating people on those dates and stuff.
No, that's dope, man. I mean, I really appreciate you having you on, and
Definitely,
I
definitely.
definitely want to tap in with you in the physical when I on my one of my trips back to CT. I come
Yeah,
back and it's quick because I come to see the grandbabies, the
mhm,
parents, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
in and out. You know what I'm saying? I'm here in Pittsburgh. It's 8 hours, like
yeah.
7.5, 8 hours.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'm
but I want
I'm
to.
I'm here. I'm here. Like I said, I'm in the studio. I'm close to it most of the time if I'm not out of town. But hit me. I'm here.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you. I'll definitely give you enough notice and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely want to slide through. I mean, I'd love to because I mean I've been in accounting for 15 years,
Mm.
but I'm a creative, and so
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know.
between so like just I want to pick your brain about like just the industry because it's changed so much since I was in it as far
It's
as like
changed. It's constantly
you know
changing.
what I'm saying and like because I didn't know magic had splintered into like different
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, because you got Complex Con, you got Project. Even like when we were doing Magic, even within Magic, they had like sub shows. They
yeah
had the
yeah
campground, they had stuff. But then, like I said, once just the model for a lot of businesses and styles changed, things became a lot more intimate. So you had smaller shows with different different production and different. So Magic is definitely the grandstand. It's still
yeah
happening,
yeah
but a lot of people that want to get particular stuff go to smaller shows and smaller events.
yeah. No, but I'm gonna slide through, man. Definitely come check you. I mean, it's I come right up, so we'll make
Yeah,
it happen. We'll
yeah,
make it happen. Like I said, I'll be back there next year. Though it'll be by quick. So, but
definitely, definitely. And like I said, I appreciate everything you do, man. I stay watching you. You know what I'm saying? And we
I
gotta
appreciate you.
gotta keep our foot on their necks, man. People
Got
got
to, man. I mean,
people gotta wake up, man.
got to. Like I don't know. It's the only way. Here's the thing. I always tell people, I'm not reinventing the wheel. This is the only way I know how to do this shit.
Yeah,
Only way I
and
know how to like.
yeah, and we got platforms. We gotta use them for other than just getting likes for stupid stuff. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying? Doing a bunch of weird shit just to get likes. It's played out right
yeah.
now.
So, and this is the culture that raised me, man. I mean, it's a big part of
Definitely.
this. Is like, I always tell people I learned how to like tie my sneakers. I learned how to like lace my sneakers. I learned how to like pose
Yeah.
for pictures, different things. There was like talk to girls. Like, I mean, there was
Yeah.
life lessons in this, man. You know what I'm saying? So you know what it is, Joe. So,
It's standard. It was standards, and it's things that we live by that then spawned the other things. But we were doing this stuff, so it wasn't like we were doing this stuff to make money. We were doing this stuff, and it just so happened that this can make money. But
right, right,
this
right,
is what we do. You know what I
right,
mean?
right, right. So, I mean, yeah. So it's been a pleasure, man. I mean, and I
Definitely.
always love, for me, like, you know, being a quote unquote underdog from CT. I always love when I see CT cats doing it and doing it the right way. And you know
Definitely.
what I'm saying? You've been holding it down for a long time. So I
Definitely.
appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us.
Definitely appreciate you reaching out. Keep me in the loop.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon, man. You be well. Keep doing your thing. Stay warm out there. And so we'll get this up on the YouTube channel. All prior episodes, all 169 episodes of the Carrying the Culture Show are up on the YouTube channel. We've had everybody from Draz, Billy Danz, everybody. But we'll get this up on the YouTube channel. We'll get a clip. I'll tag you in it. You know how we do. So thanks, brother. I appreciate it, family.
All right. Talk soon.
Take care, fam. Peace.